Um, this is just off topic. I just wanted to say, like, I love your personality. Like, it's just ever since I met you, it's always been, bubbly, happy, and like, I like that because I like to be like that as well. I just wanted to know, like, how do you always keep that positive mindset and personality you have?
I think part of it's my makeup, and just kind of the way I am, but part of me too, like I've always believed we don't control very much in life, right? I mean,
Hmm.
and I always feel like you control two things. You control your attitude and you control your work ethic. And so, I can wake up every day and I can control those things. I can decide, you know what, I'm gonna have a better outlook today than I did yesterday. And things aren't going well. Like I can't control many circumstances at all, whether I'm, the coach is playing me in a sport or if my boss is give me a promotion or whatever, but I can always control how hard I work and the effort I put into it, and then how I choose to approach it. And too, when I was playing overseas, you talk about really being out of control. I mean, you don't even have control if a team pays you or not. So there was multiple teams that like they wouldn't even pay me when they were supposed to. I'm like, listen, like we got a contract here, and they say, oh, domani, domani in Italy. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow we pay you.
Oh,
And you show up and the apartment that I was living in is like a tiny little, like smaller than a dorm room, like nothing in it. You're
oh,
lucky to maybe have a TV there, and of course none of the channels are going to be in English, but
mhm.
it's this thing where you just have to kind of smile at some of this stuff. I mean, life is pretty short, right? I mean, it goes by quick, and you look back on a lot of these years, and you're like, man, things are flying by, and if I'm not enjoying and embracing this ride, it's going to be over, and I don't want it to be a wasted life. So I think when you can really just look at stuff and say, hey, at the end of the day, you got to be able to look back and just laugh at a lot of this stuff that's going on in our lives because we can't control any of it. It doesn't mean you don't take part seriously because of course you should, but it's important to, I think, be able to really look at life and embrace whatever journey you're on because you're the only one that gets to live it.
I really like that. I like to always say everything happens for a reason in life, and even though it may not work out in your favor sometimes, I feel like it's always good to look at the positive side of maybe that downtime. Like anything you look at positive, like that's why I like to say everything happens for a reason. If there's that positive side, that's where you kind of drift to, and you're like, oh, that's true. But I do like that, those points you mentioned. It's really cool. So after college, then. I know you told me in the past that you did something with the NBA, like what was it, a summer league or like a training camp or something? But did you try to pursue NBA, or what happened there?
Yeah, when I first came out of college, I was not NBA material. I mean, I was just lucky to get a contract playing overseas. I mean, I had good size and I had some skills and stuff, but I was on nobody's NBA radar. And I then played 4 years overseas, and I went to a China draft camp. And what China used to do, and I'm not sure if they're still doing it now, probably not, but they would bring like 80 to 100 guys to the woods in Oregon, and they had this little training center there, and they would put on a week-long draft camp. So you basically like do drills, play games in front of all the pro China teams, and all these coaches and scouts were there and everything from their league. And I played well there, and a guy named Rick Barry, if you remember, he's the guy that did underhanded free throws years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah, yeah.
and like he's a NBA Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a stud. So he was there, and he was really really kind to me, and I'll never forget this line he said. He's very strong opinion guy, and I love him. But he goes, Tyler, it is a shame you are not playing in the NBA right now. And I looked at him, I thought he was messing with me for a second. I was like, really? Like, yeah, I agree. I agree. Like, what do you say? Thank you. Thank you. And he's like, I'm going to make some calls for you. I'm going to call Pat Riley. I'm going to call Jerry Sloan, and we're going to see if we can get you a workout. I'm like, thank you. You're amazing. Like,
That's
can I hug
awesome.
you? I don't know you, but can I hug you? And so anyway, he just he did that, and he called these teams and called these guys up, and I was able to get a workout with Utah Jazz. I flew out there. Had a 3-day workout, and I thought it went well, but like you really didn't know. It was right before training camp started for them,
Mhm.
and they said, "Well, we'll let you know after 3 days." And well, it was, my time was done, and I'm looking around like nobody said anything to me, and I was like, I guess I'll just show up the next day, and maybe they're just gonna kick me out, or maybe they'll ask me to stay. I had no idea, so I show up and they're like, "Oh, hey, thanks. Yeah, hey, do you want to stay for training camp?" I'm like, "Yes, I want to stay for training camp. Can I stay forever? I'll just sign forever. How about right now?"
Sign the max contract.
Yeah, max minimum deal. How about that? I'll do a max minimum deal for as long as you'll have me. And so um, I stayed for training camp, and that's kind of where you want to be, because if you're a training camp, you want to maybe like 17 guys, and then they'll keep like 14 or 15 depending on their situation. So I get to be part of them for like about a month or so, not quite a month with the Jazz. I didn't actually make it to the regular season. I got released beforehand, but I mean, I'm still sporting a Tyler Smith Utah Jazz jersey hidden in my closet somewhere that my mom
Oh,
did not buy me from Target. So I'm like, this is a win for me, you know.
you gotta eventually pop that baby out and wrap it around.
Yes, yes. So that
So
was my little, not even a cup of coffee. It was like a cappuccino. It was like a quick shot of the NBA. I was like, oh,
like
did that just happen? But
I mean
it
that,
was
that
so much
happened. At least that, like, I bet people would even kill for that opportunity. So I mean, that's still a really cool experience you've had. But what made you ultimately decide to play overseas then? Did you have to have an agent after college, and that's kind of what was recommended, or what happened there?
Yeah, so when I was leaving Penn State, I was just trying to make contacts anywhere and everywhere I could. I started with the Penn State coaches. Some of those guys knew agents, or maybe knew a couple teams here and there. And you know, I yeah, I just kind of threw my name out there to anybody and everybody. I wasn't like an All-American, but I was coming from a Big Ten school. I'd had decent numbers, and I just wanted an opportunity to play somewhere. And it's funny because you hear all these numbers being thrown around by guys. Oh man, this guy's making like 800,000 in this country, and this guy's making 500,000 in this country. And I'm thinking like, all right, I'll probably at least make 6 figures my first year.
Yeah.
Well, then reality set in, and my first offer was from a team in Holland, and they were like, yeah, we want to offer you like 2,000 a month. I'm like, 2,000 a month? Like, are you kidding me? Like that does not add up to a 500,000. I wasn't a math major, but I'm pretty sure the months it's only like an 8-month season. So I made, like, when it was all said and done, like 20 or 22 grand, like my first year overseas. But once I got over there, I realized, like, it's pretty competitive. I mean, you think about the number of guys that are coming out of school every year that want to play
Mm.
somewhere, and there's very few NBA spots. And so everybody goes overseas if they want to try and keep playing, or maybe they play in like a minor league. And so I was just thankful to have a job coming out. So I actually had a different agent like every year, because agents overseas, like you just, a lot of times you work with different guys. And so I had to, like, one agent my first year for Holland, and then another guy got me a job in Italy my next year. So I said, okay, you're my agent now. And
Mhm.
then I was talking to a guy that worked in South America. He got me a job the next year. So I'm like, okay, you're my agent now.
Oh my gosh.
So like I literally jumped around. I probably had like 7, 8, 9 agents like over the course of my career, and all really good guys. But for whatever reason, I would just kind of go with whatever the best job was in the off season.
That's crazy. I don't have an agent yet, but I joke around with my friend. He's going to be a senior at Penn State this year. I told he's going to be an agent. Like that's what he wants to do. So I
Nice.
told him I'm his first signee. So no matter what, he's gonna be my agent.
Yes.
Like playing overseas. When you first, like, that you knew that was the move. Were you like nervous at all? Like it's a different, whole different side of the world. And different languages and whatnot. Were you worried about any of that going over?
Um, I don't think I was worried about it, but I was really excited. Like I wanted to get over there. I wanted so badly to play well. I wanted so badly to, fit in and really be a great representative of the U.S. and of being a Christian, that kind of thing. Because I felt like if I'm going somewhere, everyone has a different idea of like what an American is, and some of it's like not so favorable in different parts of the
Hmm.
world. And so, I wanted to at least kind of play my part and just being the very best, the hardworking guy I could be with whatever team I went to. And so I was really fortunate. I don't really have um, many stories of places where I was like, gosh, this place was miserable. I would never go back there. I mean, I played in third world countries and first world countries and everything in between, it seemed. And everywhere I went, it was just it was unique and different. I mean, I started out going to Europe for a couple of years in Holland and Italy, and then it was in South America for a couple of years and Uruguay and Argentina, and then had the little NBA stint for a minute. I did the G League at the time; it was called the D League,
Okay.
which was hilarious because all those guys they all think they should be in the NBA. I'm like, well, there's a reason you're here and
Yeah.
not in the NBA. I mean, many of the guys that had some NBA experience and would go on to play in it, but none of them were going to be all stars. We're all essentially like kind of role players trying to find a spot. And then landed in Japan for like 5 years. When in Japan, like I blend in so well in Japan, as you might imagine, right? As like the
I'm
6'8"
sure.
blonde guy, fair skin, and but Japan was awesome. And then my last stint was in Thailand, actually.
Wow.
And kind of a fun fact about Thailand, I got over there and I was playing for a team that had a local Thai coach and super, super guy. We make the playoffs, and right as we make the playoffs, they fire the head coach and they hire an American guy who happened to be Kobe Bryant's dad.
No way.
Yeah. So Joe Bryant, Joe Jellybean Bryant, he was my head coach in Thailand for a couple of months and super, super guy.
That is insane. And then so after, all that happened, do you still stay in contact with anybody from overseas, like at all?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook's been awesome with that and social media. So I was retweeting about stuff. Actually, just the other day, I saw an article from this writer I know in Japan, and he was covering a guy named Orimo. And this guy Orimo, he was old when I played there. Like I was my late 20s, early 30s. Orimo was already like 40 years old. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
and he's a skinny little Japanese guy, maybe weighs like 160 pounds, but can shoot the lights out. And wasn't real fast or anything, but so he was so old. He was actually he was president of his team, and I think he even like owned the team, right?
Oh
He
my
was,
gosh.
he was like Mark Cuban being a really good shooter and being like, yeah, I'm dressing for this season.
I'm playing this year, baby.
Yeah, and so come to find out, like I don't follow it like I used to, but come to find out, like this guy Orimo was still playing, and he just retired in February. I'm like, wait a minute, like how old
How
he
old is
was?
this
He
guy?
was he turned 50 this year.
Oh my gosh.
50 years old. Now he wasn't playing the minutes that maybe he used to be, but I mean he was playing like he was averaging a few points a game because she'll still shoot it and
That's,
stuff. I'm like, that's hilarious.
that is
27
crazy.
seasons he played in Japan.
That
27.
has to, in America, that's like a record, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, unreal. I mean, I think with Vince Carter, he's played like 20 years or something crazy, you know?
Yeah, he's what, 41 now or 42, and he's still with the Hawks. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So add another decade onto that, and that's your Japanese buddy Orimo.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. But like, so I mean, that's just all crazy stuff that you can't even wrap your mind around. But this question I feel is gonna be very interesting to you, or I'm interested to hear your answers. But so after playing overseas for so many years, I'm noticing a new trend with a couple young players coming out of college, or before right after high school, they're opting to play overseas rather than stick an NCAA and then try to do a one and done, try to enter the draft. So, in your opinion, after doing all that for so many years, what do you think of that trend? Like, do you agree with that or no?
That's a great question. You know, for me, like I wouldn't have done that because I knew that um, for me, like a college degree was really important. I wanted to have that, but I also wasn't like a top 10 high school player, All American coming out of high school. But I can see if you're one of those guys and you're projected like, hey, he's going to go to Duke or UNC and be a one and done guy. And maybe these guys are like, I'm tired of school. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to go to class. I want to go make some money. And they're not going to get their degree anyway. I mean, if you go to college for 1 year, you're really going for like one semester, because at the end
Hmm.
of your second semester,
You're into the
after March,
training.
you're going to do workouts and stuff and flying all around. So you'll probably just have like one semester of class.
Hmm.
Now it's a lot more comfortable for guys going to college because you're around people your own age, and you're being recruited to. Everybody speaks English around you. You know the food and everything. Everybody's taking care of you. If you go overseas, that's a whole different kind of education. So I give big props to those guys who are able to go overseas and do that, because you're talking 18, 19 years old, you're playing against grown men, and nothing is familiar or comfortable in your life right now. So
Hmm.
that's really hard to do. Um, Now the G League is actually paying guys pretty well, and you see some of these guys start to go to the G League now,
Yeah.
and make some legit money. I'm like, that makes sense. Like if I was a top 10 guy, I know I'm not going to go to school for 4 years. Like just jumping right to the G League makes sense, because your window to play pro basketball is very small, and so you want to be able to accelerate your training and your talents and abilities, as fast as you can, so that you have a shot to make the NBA, and really take your talents as far as you can take them. So I totally get those guys that are going to go make some good money right off the bat, because right now guys are going to college because there was no other option, you know. And the funny thing is, I think back when I was playing in the G League, the contracts were three set salaries. It was 12,000, 18,000, or 24,000, and you were only allowed to have two $24,000 salaried guys on a team. And so most of our guys are making like 12 and 18 grand. And they're
Jeez.
like, man, I could be making 50 grand a month overseas, and here I am. But we were all trying to make the NBA. And so it was worth it to kind of play for less money. But now, like, the NBA is really seeing a lot of value, and hey, we can pay these guys more and keep more of that good talent at home.
That's like, it's just so interesting to me. Like, and I'm curious to see what the trend will be in next couple of years, if that tends to be a more thing, and like maybe
Yeah,
hurts NCAA a little bit. So I mean, you
yeah.
never know, but you
I get knocked down, but I just